It sounds like it's from a movie or something.
Do you remember how Mei-chan said that she could do anything, from flying helicopters using wireless radios? It's actually all true. It seems like Mei-chan joined in their training.
So, that was all true?
Well, let's put that aside for now. Anyway, you have to at least believe that the death squad actually exists in Hinamizawa, and they're capable of kidnapping the grandson of a government minister.
I didn't take a close look at the 4 men in the white van today, but thinking about it, they did look professional in a way. They were pretending to just be taking a break, but I could tell they were tense the whole time. So, are they really trying to kill you?
I don't think so. If they really wanted to kill me, I'd be dead already.
So, what do they want? Are they after Dog-san's scrapbooks?
Like you saw yourself, the group is very cautious. Unless we show them an opening, they won't resort to force. If they were the type to use force outright, they could have attacked me in my sleep.
They haven't done that yet, so that must mean they're taking it cautiously.
They're probably not sure that I have the scrapbooks. They killed Mion and tried to dispose of them, but they found out that the most important ones were missing. They thought she gave them to someone because she knew her life was in danger. Now they think I'm the one who has them, but they're not sure, so they can't resort to violence.
Rena, it sounds like you're playing a dangerous game.
Yeah, I'm a bit scared, but they won't be able to erase me so easily. After all, I'm cooperating with Oishi-san. I've been frequently contacting him in case something happens.
What did he say about them?
He said he'd keep an eye on the Sonozaki family so that he could catch them right away, if they were working behind the scenes.
Did you tell him about the scrapbooks?
No, I didn't.
I think you should. He's an officer. I'm sure the police will help you.
Keiichi-kun, I can't even tell you the secret of this village because I'm not sure you would believe me. I don't think Oishi-san would believe me if I told him any of this.
Rena, let's not make it more confusing than it already is. Just tell me, what is it? What's written in the scrapbooks? What's the secret that killed Mion-san?
Simply put, if the things written in the scrapbooks are true, the god they worship will be dethroned.
Their god dethroned?
Yes, the sanctity of oyashiro-sama will be lost. That's why they want to conceal the truth. They want to resurrect people's belief in oyashiro-sama.
Rena, can you explain it a little more simply than that? What do you mean, Keiichi? That's pretty straightforward. They want to revive the cult of oyashiro-sama. What's not to understand there? I'm confused. I mean, sure, it is pretty confusing.
In other words, oyashiro-sama isn't a god.
He isn't? I had no idea what she read that made her so certain, but whatever it was, it'd be sacrilegious for people who believed so strongly in oyashiro-sama.
There are many teachings of oyashiro-sama, but the essence is as follows. Don't leave the village, and don't let anybody into the village. One could even say the rest of his teachings were developed to maintain those two fundamentals. It really wasn't until later on that they added aspects like love your neighbor or viewing him as a god of marriage and domestic prosperity.
In other words, oyashiro-sama exists solely to stop the villagers from going outside the village. Oyashiro-sama doesn't bless the villagers or protect them from disasters. The people believe that oyashiro-sama does all that for them, but the truth is that the people abuse his name for that purpose, generation after generation, and nothing more than that. Why did oyashiro-sama descend in the first place? Because demons came out of Onikafuji swamp and attacked people.
In fact, that was the wrong interpretation. Demons didn't come out of the swamp and attack people. People became demons and attacked each other when they were possessed by whatever came out of the swamp.
Whatever came out of the swamp? What do you mean by that? Whatever came out of the swamp possessed people, crawled into their blood, controlled them, and turned them into demons. People had no resistance against whatever it was that came out of the swamp. They became demons, attacked the other villagers, and turned them into demons as well. It's kind of going into the kind of parasite thing, isn't it? That's right. It was a weird infectious disease that broke out from the swamp. Made the infected people go out of control. The villagers saw this disaster and explained it like so. Evil demons came out from the bottom of the swamp, possessed people, and turned them into demons as well. That is the truth of the story of the demons that came out of Onikafuchi Swamp. It actually explains the legends. So, was Oyashiro-sama a doctor who came from a foreign country?
Yes, that's not exactly correct, but he was something like that. He came to Onikafuchi and he treated the infectious disease, but he couldn't cure it for good.
All his treatment could do was reduce the symptoms of the infection. Villagers could have the symptoms suppressed, but there was no way to kill the parasites that had infested them. After a while, the village was divided into two groups. One group was made up of the people who were already infected, and the other consisted of the people who weren't. Without a cure for the disease, the uninfected looked down on the people who could only suppress their violent symptoms. Yeah. It's like I just thought I'd misread that. It's like, if it was like, oh, the infected looked down on the people that weren't infected. They even talked about drowning them in the swamp. Well, who's the real demons in that situation, right? But they knew killing the infected people wouldn't solve the problem. The parasites come out of their water sources, including Onikafuchi Swamp. They couldn't fill them all in, for if they did that, they would lose their access to drinking water. They could have chosen to leave the village, but that was hard for them, for that was the location of their ancestors' graves. And probably because, I don't know, if we're talking even further back into the past, and it's been a rural village and all that, it'd probably be a long travel to the nearest settlement, I'd imagine. Under the power of oyashiro-sama, infected people could live without showing symptoms. So both those who were infected and those who weren't decided to live together equally and to coexist with the parasites. Oyashiro-sama was inspired by the villagers' decision. He decided to stay there and continue to treat them.
That's the true identity of Oyashiro-sama, the benefactor who stayed in the village to protect the lives of both human and demon.
That's right, and oyashiro-sama made the rules in order... that must be Keiichi, then. That's the true identity of oyashiro-sama, the benefactor who stayed in the village to protect the lives of both human and demons.
That's right, and Oyashiro-sama made rules in order to ensure the symptoms of the infected people would remain suppressed. The rules were to never leave the village and never let anybody into the village.
I understand why you didn't want to let anybody new into the village. It's to prevent the parasite from infecting anyone else. But I don't understand why you didn't want people to leave.
It seems like the parasite can only live in Hinamizawa because of the climate here. It causes an outbreak of the symptoms in order to prevent the host from leaving the village when they try. That reaction is the truth behind the curse of Oyashiro-sama.
Wait. What do you mean by this? Like, but I don't understand why you didn't want people to leave. Well, if it's a parasitic disease, you wouldn't want them to just go out and spread it, would you? Because it could be contagious, the strongest symptoms of infectious disease. I mean, it even's there, infectious disease. What logic would it be like, oh yeah, feel free to travel around and infect other districts and shit. Why not? You gotta quarantine it! The strongest symptoms of the infectious disease were violence and delirium. The infected people acted just like demons, and the impact of seeing them in the throes of the disease was strong enough to make others describe them as such. They couldn't even let people leave who had just come to the village. If they had left after being infected, they might go crazy in a faraway land, turn into a vicious demon and cause a disaster. Infected people were never allowed to leave. When an infected person left the village, they brought him back by any means necessary. Did you just assume their gender? That was what it really meant to be demoned away. Onega Kuchi. I forgot what it was for a second there. Hey, that's fitting, really, isn't it? Onigafuchi, Onigakushi. Well, that's kind of a thing, isn't it? They both got demon in it. Demoned away, and Onigafuchi. Was it something like land or village or something like that of the demons, or marsh of the demons. I can't remember what the actual translation was. Wait a second, Rena. That means everybody in this village, including you and I, are infected. But nothing happens when we leave Hinamizawa. In fact, many villagers move far away after getting married or something. I've never heard of any villagers who went crazy and turned into demons after they left Hinamizawa.
You're right. That's because things went as Oyashiro-sama thought they would. Do you understand? He isolated the village for a long time in order to weaken the power of the parasite.
Hosts are very important for parasites. If something happens to the host, the parasites that live on the host have to share the same fate. In other words, if the host went crazy and attacked people, the host would be captured and killed, which means that the parasites would die with the host too. I see, you're talking about natural selection.
Good thinking, Keiichi-kun. That's exactly right. As a result of living in this village under such strict rules for a long time, people who were hypersensitive to the parasite went crazy and got killed. The strong parasites that made the infected people go crazy were also killed off due to the host's violent behaviors. As a result, only the parasites that acted nice to people lived on. And that's the explanation behind the mix of human and demon blood that's written in the legend of Oyashiro-sama.
So, that means the parasite is almost harmless now.
Yes, according to Mion-san's scrapbooks, there are actually many people who are infected by harmless parasites. It depends on the local food culture, for example. About 80% of people who live in a country where meat is a staple food are infected by parasites. But because the parasites coexist with humans without doing any harm to them, nobody notices them, treats them, or tries to get rid of them.
Yeah, that's one of those things you just don't think of, but when you do, you're just like, oh man, think of like all the bacteria that lives inside you. It's like, there's no bacteria that lives in you. Yes, there is. It's like, it's like, but he's just like, but they're not harmful ones. But still, I see.
In olden times, what Tanagashi was called...
Whoa, yeah, a very different title there.
Harawata Nagashi. Harawata meaning guts. It's said that people back then used to eat the guts of infected people who went crazy.
Well, who's the crazy one in that case? It's like, oh, this person is crazy and died. Let's do something logical. Let's eat their guts. Just like, wait, what? Just like for just like, oh, if you eat their guts, you'll go crazy as well. But no, if you're willing to eat their guts, you're already fucking crazy.
It sounds awful, but it was something they had to do.
They had to eat the guts of the crazy people because reasons. So Harawata is guts? That is quite a mouthful. A mouthful, get it? Because that's just disgusting. Nagashi. Where did I put my dictionary? I mean, I know I do this a lot, but seriously, I'm curious to know the origins of these words. Sort of. I just know the words in general, even though I can't imagine it ever being relevant outside of this. Na 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 na. Oh wait, Nagashi is already in Watanagashi, isn't it? Like, wada means cotton, and I guess Nagashi is mean like, because it's called the Cotton Drifting Festival, but wata can also be guts. But is it this whole time it's actually been Harawata? Maybe it's like, I don't know. Or maybe it's used the same kanji character, but they can have different spellings. Let's actually look for Harawata, which is probably not in here, because that's quite different, isn't it? Where are you if you're in here, which you're probably not? Nope. You got Bara Bara, which is scattered. So, gotta think of it. Wasn't that like the words that was? Or maybe it was a different word. That's always on that newspaper whenever it appears on screen. It was something like that, wasn't it? So that's kind of, I don't know. Maybe that's why. But that's not the word we're looking for, though. Probably. It's actually, once again, even though I said earlier we wouldn't do this again, but here we are again in this record and do the same thing. That's Higurashi, right? Got some kind of going on here. No, that isn't. That is it. Okay, dictionary. Where is that alphabet? This is like, seriously, how have I not mastered katakana yet? Yeah, the first one is ha. Second one. Oh wait, it is hara, isn't it? Yeah. What was the other one? Harawa. Oh yeah, Harawata, isn't it? So you don't even get a kanji character for guts? Just katakana? Does it have a kanji character? It probably does. Why was it in katakana and not hiragana? I don't get the logic sometimes, you know? Sometimes I just write it out in katakana. Eating the infected people. Are you talking about I see. Oh. I guess there is a logic to the madness.
You're very smart, Keiichi-kun. Your son also interpreted it just like you did. In the legend it says people cut open and ate the infected ones alive, but it actually wasn't anything gross like that. They did it in a scientific way. They used forks! They created a vaccine from the infected people who died from the extremely strong parasites, and they helped the uninfected villagers boost their immune system.
Who was Oyashiro-sama? A scientist? He must have been from a very advanced country. Was he German? Germany, of course! Just like, fuck all the other developed countries in the West. Germany, right? Is the true identity of Oyashiro-sama a foreign doctor who has survived a shipwreck?
I think that'd be the most likely answer. He wasn't German, but he was a doctor of some sort.
You know, it'd be really out there as if he was Welsh. It's like, how'd you end up here? This is just like, well, you could say the same thing about German, really, but what point of history are we talking here? It's like, it seems vague, because, like, if it's the origin of this, it feels like it go back a couple hundred years, really. It's like, just think, like, Germany and Japan were allied during World War II, so maybe it's like, oh, but this was probably way prior to that, but it's like, but maybe, It's all a bit confusing. It's kind of interesting to reveal the truth behind old legends. I don't think that Rena story is too crazy to be true anymore. Still sounds crazy, of course, but I've never heard any theories that explain the legend of this village better than this one. I can't tell who's speaking in this line here. Maybe Keiichi. I'm infected by a parasite too, right? I feel itchy all over now. Just like, that's the paranoia of this arc, isn't it? It's like, oh, you got a random itch? Oh no!
person is like a universe, we have countless numbers of bacteria in our bodies. Some of those bacteria are essential to us staying alive.
Oh, like bacteria in yogurt, right? I see.
This is also what Mion-san wrote in her scrapbooks. You know termites, right? They eat wood, but they actually can't digest it themselves. They have unique bacteria that decomposes the wood fibers. As a result, termites can absorb what they eat. That's just one example of a species coexisting with parasites.
I didn't know that. When I hear the word parasites, I feel creeped out almost instinctively. Now I know some of them aren't so bad to us. So the weird infectious disease that broke out from Monikafuchi Swamp has been exterminated by now. Well, I shouldn't say exterminated, I should say it's harmless now.
I thought it was a crazy story at first. But now I feel like I just saw the trick behind some crazy kind of magic. It's interesting.
Is it backwards? Just, who's lying? Oh, I did get it backwards. I thought it was crazy at first, but now I feel like I just saw the trick behind some crazy kind of magic. It's interesting.
So the weird infectious disease that broke out from it's been exterminated by now. Well, I shouldn't say exterminated, I should say it's harmless now! This to us, but for the cult of oyashiro-sama, this must be a very annoying theory.
Of course. Darkness-Sen's theory is correct. Oyashiro-sama isn't a god. And the punishment by that god, namely the curse of oyashiro-sama that people have been so afraid of, will turn out to have just been the symptoms of an infectious disease. I see. That's what the ruling god would mean. So, if the pathogen of this infectious disease was identified and announced to the public, the power of oyashiro-sama would be completely lost. Oh, we've suddenly switched to Rena's perspective.
That's right. That's what they're afraid of. Mion-san was going to identify the pathogen, and for that she was killed.
So that must mean she identified it.
Maybe she did, but she's gone and she didn't say anything about that in her scrapbooks. That's the only reason I can think of, though.
But it's the end of the 20th century. It's the start of the 21st century. Well, that was quite a while back now, but this takes place in the 80s. I'm sure the villagers have been examined by a lot of different medical institutions by now, right? I've never heard about anyone discovering a weird parasite like that.
I know, it's true that the pathogen hasn't been found yet. In fact, there's evidence that there's some kind of parasite involved.
What? Really? When a parasite enters a human body, that body's immune system cells is not the same the compounds try to kill the parasites. They secrete an antibody called Iggy. You can tell I've not got much medical knowledge at all. The most common way of checking if a person is infected by a pathogen is to look at the levels of this secretion. According to Takna's research, people from Hinamizawa have a very high level of Iggy in their bloods. That's not all. They also have obvious symptoms of being infected by parasites. They don't have any allergies. Iggy stimulates mast cells, and they secrete histamines and serotonin. As a result, they cause an allergic reaction. Wait, does this mean that people in Hinamizawa don't have hay fever? You lucky bastards, but you unlucky bastards at the same time. That allergic reaction isn't pleasant for humans, but it's necessary for the body to kill the pathogen. The parasites don't want to be killed, of course, so they secrete substances that counteract Iggy. As a result, Iggy stops stimulating the reactors of the mast cells, which stops secreting the chemical compounds. As a result, the antigen-antibody reaction, namely the allergic reaction, doesn't occur. In other words, a human body that was infected by a parasite secretes a high level of Iggy, but doesn't display allergic reactions. For your information, a human body that's infected by a parasite doesn't suffer from hay fever. Well, you get hay fever due to your body secreting a large amount of Iggy because it's mistaken pollen for a parasitic invasion. Damn you! damn you, it's just like, Iggy! It's just like, I got hay fever, and it sucks. As a result, a large amount of stimulants like histamine will be secreted, but your body can't contain the parasite that it's attempted to kill. That's why your body continues to secrete Iggy! As a result, the stimulants keep causing allergic reactions. That's how hay fever works. How about that? If you have a parasite in your body, it'll deactivate your Iggy and suppress the secretion of stimulants. As a result, you don't have an allergic reaction. In other words, there's no hay fever in Hinamizawa, and you can cure your hay fever by moving here. It's like, but then, you know what? It's like, I keep saying that as Iggy, but it's probably just like IGE or something like that, isn't it? But it's fun to say it like that, though. Iggy! So we haven't been able to identify the pathogen, but there's no question about its existence.
Yes, that's right.
That's true. The scrapbooks are a big threat to the belief is oyashiro-sama. They don't identify the pathogen, but they clearly prove its existence.
Yeah, it poses a big enough danger to them to make them think it's worth killing Mio-san.
This really is scary secrets. I believe it because you took the time to explain to me. But if you had skipped the details and told me only the conclusion, it really would have sounded too crazy to believe.
I told you! I couldn't believe it at first either, so I thought you definitely wouldn't.
So what's important right now is that there's a dangerous organization acting in the shadows to try and cover up the truth, right?
Yes, that's the most important thing.
The fanatics who want to revive the sanctity of the god they worship. Reviving the majesty of their god means reviving the power of that god. And the power of their god is the infectious disease. The infectious Iggy! No, this infectious disease can't spread nationwide, unlike other infectious diseases. So from now on, I'm going to start calling it an endemic disease. That fits better since it only affects this region. Anyway, the endemic disease of current day Hinamizawa is different from the one of old times. But how old was old times? It's been through a process of natural selection and it's harmless now. In other words, it doesn't do any harm to human bodies. That harm was once interpreted as a curse. A curse is the power of a god, so a harmless endemic disease means that the god is marvelous. That means the only way to regain the majesty of that god is to revive the curse. In other words, they want to bring back the primitive and endemic disease, namely the harmful strong version of the parasites. Wait a second. These fanatics want to deny the fact that their god was actually a parasite. But you're saying that they're researching the parasite. That's contradictory, isn't it?
I know it is. I think that this research is a secret that only the head of the fanatics is aware of. From the outside they look like they're praising their god, but they actually understand its true identity. They're trying to revive its supernatural power with their own hands.
I get it now. Oh my god, this is getting crazier and crazier.
It doesn't say in the scrapbooks, but I'm suspicious of the clinic the manager owns.
You know what? Again, with this shit, it's like, god damn it. But I want to see how it sounds. Naruhodo na. Oi oi. Nandakatonde monain. Did he really say a like, oh my god? So I don't see it in there. He's just being like, oi 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 oi. What this and whom, huh? And not a hodo. It's like, just think of Go-Go Nippon. And never like look at the Japanese translation. You'd always be like, no, yes I understand. Look, we got some. Hey, look. Wait, that's Mio's name, isn't it? Oh yeah, we've went over that before, isn't it? Her name has the kanji characters for 3 and 4. How weird is that? It feels like it should be obvious, but it's just... Oh. That must have been scrapbooks, actually. Scrapbook... No, let's do that again. With the knowledge that it might be scrapbooks. Just like it's confusing when you try to decipher what is essentially a non-Japanese word that it makes sense in English if you actually, you know, think of it like that way, but I read it out like sukure. But now that I know that, it's like scrap. And if maybe, I don't think that's kanji catch for book though, so I don't know. Whatever, that's scrapbook. The Irie Clinic. Why?
The facility is too big and fancy for Hinamizawa. Your son was working there. The manager might be a bacteriologist the Sonozaki family recruited.
Can't be.
I think Mia's son was murdered because she knew too much. The reason why the manager hasn't been murdered yet is because he's working for the fanatics in the first place.
And he's researching a primitive form of the endemic disease. So I'd believe that the coach we know is capable of doing things like that.
I'm sorry, it might be totally irrelevant. It's just a wild guess. But someone is doing the research somewhere. That much is certain. And after 5 years, the research has finally been completed.
Take about 5 years for the next arc to be released. The first case was dismemberment murder at about 80 damn construction workers. That quarrel had turned into a lynching. They might have had the primitive infectious disease, and the symptoms, the aggression and delirium might have kicked in. The victims of the second year were Sadoka's parents. There were no witnesses, so the whole event is veiled in mystery. But there's a theory that someone might have pushed them over the cliff, since the fence of the observatory deck that they fell from was quite sturdy. What if one of them was infected by the primitive parasite? He or she might have become violent and pushed the other over the cliff. The Shinto priest died from disease, and his wife drowned herself in the third year. He might have died of shock because of hypersensitive reaction to the infection. His wife might have gone crazy and committed suicide when one of the symptoms, delirium, kicked in. Wait, back up, Rena. Wasn't it established that it was just a mere theory that people assumed that she drowned in the Onagafuchi swamp, but she was never found or something like that? I can't remember if that was the case, but I do recall something like that, information-wise. In the 4th year, Satoshi Hojo's aunt was beaten to death, probably by Satoshi himself. Everybody who knew Satoshi-kun remembers how he changed at that time. He showed signs of being both aggressive and delirious. And the 5th year, for the first time in 5 years, the victim experienced the maggot disease described in the old scroll of the Furude Shrine. The reason behind that is unclear, but the stronger primitive parasite could have given its victims the delusion of maggots. This means that they finally managed to duplicate the curse of oyashiro-sama after 5 years of research. Tomitake-san is the victim of the 5th year. He died in an extremely abnormal way, and I'm the only one who understands his death because I experienced the same thing. He kept clawing at its fruits to get rid of the maggots and died as a result. With all that explained, I finally understand the maggot disease I experienced in Ibaraki. I left Hinamizawa, and it made the parasite in me uncomfortable. As a result, it tried to resist, even though it wasn't very strong, and it tried to make me homesick. But with my parents' divorce, I grew mentally unbalanced, and I completely lost the power to resist for a period of time. The parasite was weak and harmless, but my mental instability allowed it to worsen my symptoms dramatically. As a result, I went crazy and became violent. The delusion of oyashiro-sama appearing to me in the bathroom was probably the terminal phase of my delirium. I created a supernatural existence, oyashiro-sama, that was instilled with me when I was little. Then I persuaded myself to go back to Hinamizawa based on that delusion. Some of the transcendents of Rena and Keiichi must have held the same kind of experience. That must have passed their experiences down as the acts of a god. I remember I once saw on TV that the indigenous people in South America used some kind of natural drug in order to have a mystical experience, and that they called it a ritual to communicate with their gods when they were just really getting really high. So what the fanatics are trying to do is to spread the primitive parasites throughout Hinamizawa.
I think that's their goal, but I don't think they'll do that without letting people know about it. Religions need ceremonies, so if they created what they wanted to create and if they decide to spread it, I think they'd name it the Day of Oyashiro-sama's Revival or something. They'd perform some kind of ceremony. It would be in celebration of the revival of Oyashiro-sama.
That's a bad thing, isn't it?
I think you can say that because they're trying to spread a very dangerous pathogen.
Hey, isn't that bioterrorism? Jesus, very bad. They used it on Tomodachi and confirming that they succeeded in duplicating the curse of oyashiro-sama, so the day of revival might be really soon. Flawless acting.
I don't know, it could happen in a few days or it might take a year.
It's way out of your league, Rena. This is a very serious conspiracy. There's nothing we alone can do to stop them. You have to report it to the police.
You think that it'll believe us?
It's their choice whether to believe us or not. No matter what, we have to tell them.
Keiichi-kun, tell Luigi-san about all this means. Tell him that I have the scrapbooks.
You think that'd be a problem?
Luigi-san came to me after Mion-san was murdered. When they killed Mion-san, they found out that our scrapbooks were missing. They also know that she met me at the library a few days ago.
No way. You mean...
Yes, Ushi-san could be one of them. It's possible that Ushi-san thinks I have the scrapbooks, and he might be trying to find out. In fact, he looked very suspicious, and it seemed to me that he didn't really tell me everything he knew. He only told me things to make me suspicious of the Sonzaki family. He could have just been trying to look like he was on my side and that he's actually their minion.
But the police are our only hope.
Keiichi-kun, you know about the case of the 4th year, don't you? Stoku-chan's aunt was murdered. I believe Satoshi-kun did it, but the police fingered a drug addict as the murderer. What do you think about that?
Some of the fanatics are with the police, and they fabricated the murderer.
It's the same with the autopsy of the Shinto priest, who they claim died from disease, and the inspector and of the accident site where the Hojo couple died. If the police are on their side, it opens the door to many perfect crimes. The three families have been maintaining pressure on the police since the dam conflict. You've heard from Michan that they also have considerable power over many organizations in Okinawa, right?
Yes, I have. It's not only Mion who told me that. Many people did. They told me the Sonzaki family holds influence over the whole city.
That's right. You can't necessarily trust the police around here.
Rena, please. I want to make one thing clear before we go on. The Sonzaki family are the masterminds behind all this. Does that mean Mion is involved too? Please, tell me! My leg is killing me, but the suspense is... as well.
I don't know if Michan or Reika-chan are directly involved or not. All I can say for sure is that the fanatics have the power to control the nerve centers of all the three families, including the most powerful family of all, the Sonozakis. I'm not sure if the fanatics are controlling the three families or the three families are the fanatics themselves.
As long as we're not sure about their involvement, it's better for us to be extra careful around them. Is that what you're saying?
Yes. I'm not saying that I don't trust Michan. She's usually very unreliable and I'd ask her for help with any problem, but not this one. This one's a little different. I don't know if you've seen it before, but although Michan jokes around when she's with us, she could be a very cold person when she's acting as the successor of the Sonzaki family. Plus, even if she wasn't involved, we would put her in danger if we told her about this.
You know, it makes sense that she chose to confide in Keiichi because Mion, connection to the Sonozaki family. Rika, last connection to the Frida family, I guess. Sadoko, what good would tell her? She doesn't have the connection, but she lives with Rika. So, yeah, Keiichi seems like a logical choice to confide in, really, doesn't it? If she was on our side, that'd be really encouraging. I think we should tell her.
No, we shouldn't. We shouldn't tell her until we confirm that she's not one of them. Sure, it'd be great if we could pull her to our side, but what if we couldn't?
It's like Keiichi's always pulling that kind of thing, isn't he? It's like, he's like type of guy, just like, told, don't do this, and then he's like, my god, I gotta do this. It's like, what did I just tell you, idiots? So, how are we gonna fight against them?
Well, this is a battle we don't stand a chance of winning to begin with. That's why I didn't want to get you involved.
Damn it! The Understand left us a big parting gift, didn't she?
But because of that, we know about the conspiracy. I believe this is her will.
2 kids challenging the mastermind who controls the village. This is gonna be tough. Ordinary methods won't work.
But Keiichi-kun, I'm glad to have you on my side. We can talk about it and plan things together.
Of course. I've always been on your side and I'm your friend.
I know. Thank you. You're very reassuring.
2 heads are better than 1.
Yeah, I agree. We can come up with a plan for how we're going to fight against them together. I skipped school today because I wanted some time to read the scrapbooks again. I'm going to school again tomorrow and I'm going to act normal. They might sense something is wrong with me if I act different. You should do the same, Keiichi-kun. Please be careful with Mi-chan. She's sometimes very protective.
Okay, I'll act normal as if I know nothing. But damn, I'm a bit scared. This conspiracy is right around the corner and it might already be counting down to 0. It's hard to act normal knowing that.
I don't think it's going to happen very soon. Like I said earlier, they really are religious fanatics. They need a religious ceremony. They need the help of the whole village to hold something like that. I can't think of any event other than Watanagashi.
So you're saying that we have time at least until the next Watanagashi festival?
I can't promise. I just can't think of any event other than that.
I think we have a year at least. But I also feel like we don't because of how they killed Miya-san. I might not know, but there might be a bigger religious event in Watanagashi. Might not be long until that day. On the day of oyashiro-sama's revival, they're going to spread the dangerous parasite, and that day might just be around the corner. Rena, are you still on the phone? Wrap it up soon, it's getting late. My father stuck his head out from the living room telling me I need to hang up soon. What about telling him so many times? It's natural to think that your parents will be on your side no matter what. But I know just how weak he can get, so I couldn't tell him. I don't think he'd believe me anyway. Even if I told him, he'd just tell me to call the police. It's better that I didn't tell him. They might get close to my father to get me. If he didn't know anything about anything, including scrapbooks, there'd be nothing to squeeze out of him to begin with.
I'm sorry, Keiichi-kun. I have to go now, it's getting late. I'll see you at school.
Okay, see you tomorrow.
Be careful, okay? You're not an outsider anymore.
Yeah, I'll be careful. I rammed a suspicious man in a white van and felt a chill run through my spine when he realized that the text, the font, was also white. They looked like villagers, but they weren't. They had the village accent, but they were just pretending. The more I thought about it, the more suspicious they became. It let me know that Rena and I aren't safe. Your friend is right, they're just suspicious of her, and they're not sure if she has the scrapbooks or not. But it's still creepy. When I had probably experienced the same creepiness I felt when I saw the van several times up until now, she must sense the danger more than I do. However, the fact that they weren't attacking, that they were merely observing us, was disturbing. If they attacked her, she could have done something like going to the police. But all they're doing is just watching her from a distance. She can't do anything about it. She can't talk to anybody about it. She probably just wants to stay in her house all day. But if she acted different, they might take it as proof that she has scrapbooks. We have to think about how to fight against them without making it obvious. I told myself that without going back, and I put the phone down.
Higurashi will the cry Kai. Nearly 2 hours record session.
Is that a whole chapter? Nope. Chapter goes on. To school. The next day, Rena came to school acting normal like she said she would. She talked with me honest cheerfully. She always did, and it made me wonder the story she told me last night was going to be fabrication. That's because the story really was too ridiculously crazy to believe. This village has a very weird and rare endemic disease, and there are religious fanatics who went to use disease to revive their weird cults. And they've been researching the pathogen of the endemic disease so they can spread it throughout the village. I was deeply influenced by Rena last night, and I believed everything she said. But thinking about it with a cool mind under the bright sunlight, it sounds too crazy to be true. The story Rena told me is based on Takno-san's crazy hand-me-down ideas. It's based entirely on her theories, which, though very feasible, have no evidence whatsoever. The fact that Takno-san was murdered lends credit to the story, I'll give you that, but... I looked at Mion. She was fooling around with Rena. It's hard to believe that she's involved with some crazy conspiracy. Hey, you listening, Kei-chan? What? Oh, sorry. I wasn't paying attention. Wake up, sleepyhead. You need to get enough sleep or your brain stops working. Mion made fun of me for acting too slowly. So it's impossible not to trust this bubbly, cheerful girl. I trust Mion. I trust my friends. I know she'd never have a hand in a crazy conspiracy like that. If she knew about it, she wouldn't be able to act this cheerfully. Ren told me not to tell Mion because she might be one of them. But it might be worth telling her about letting Rena know. What do you do, you fool? He's just like, after all that, he's just like, But how will this, what will happen next? I can't remember how long this arc is, but it's quite lengthy, isn't it? Which is good, because it'll take about twice as long for the next answer arc to get released. So, anyways, I'll see you next time, viewers. See you next time.